Good morning. It's Laura from Healthy Carnivore. Was wanting to come on today. I had made a lot of product yesterday that I needed to get labeled and ready to go. I did put that up on my website. What I made yesterday was lemon tallow lotion. So just so you can see that. And it smells glorious. If you love lemons, I love the smell of lemon. And I know this is off subject, but I'm going to tell you what this lemon actually smells like. If you remember the Girl Scout cookies they had several years back that look like powdered sugar covered lemon, that's the scent that this lemon is. It smells really good. And you can smell some of the cocoa butter behind it, but when you put it on, it leaves a lemony type scent. It's not super strong. It's really, really nice. So that is what I am putting up today. The other thing is the lavender oil, which I know this looks horrible right now because I shook it. So the lavender's all mixed in. I'm going to strain that out and I'm going to bottle that up and put on the website as well today. I've had some people ask me about products that I use, whether it be like the BPA free plastic jars, my air fryer, different things like that. So if you go out to my website, it's russellbrands.com. If you go there and you scroll down, I think it's the second or third page, it says products I use, something like that. And so if you click on that, it brings up a Google document and it'll show all the different products. It won't have them all on there because I have not updated it very well, but I am going to do that today. But it has all of those and it does have links. And yes, I do make a few pennies if you click that link. Not saying you have to do that, but at least you can go out, look at it. Then if you decide it's what you want, you can go back out, go into it a different way and buy it. It doesn't really matter to me. Um, I try to keep my products as cheap as possible so that everybody can afford them. So that is not my game to do. Um, So anyway, I'm trying to think. Oh, I had somebody ask me also why I had ever even decided to start doing this eating. So I'm going to go over that just real quickly. Stephanie, I got my order. Love the facial serum. Oh, yeah. Now on any products, if you get them and the heat and they have kind of melted, which does happen. I've had it happen myself on mine because I set it in our bedroom and we don't do air throughout the entire house. But anyway, you can put it in the fridge for like 20 minutes, kind of shake it up really, really good. It gives you a little exercise. Put it back in the fridge, do that a couple times, reconstitute it, and it'll come back just the way it was. I've had that happen with the deodorant and the lotion. The candle is probably just going to be misshapen. I don't think you can fix that unless you have a candle thing. I have changed the formula a little bit on some of those to add a little bit of beeswax into them and higher beeswax amount in my candles. So hopefully they'll kind of hold up a little better. But the facial serum, all of those things, the tooth powders are amazing, amazing. Yeah, living in Arizona. Yeah. Yeah, and it's gonna be in the 90s here, so I'm mailing out, um, my stuff here as soon as I get done on here, so I will plan on doing that, so, yeah. Hi, Kimberly. Yeah, South Carolina, I'll bet. It's kinda hot. 'Tis the season, I guess, right? We hit the summer solstice, so, I was just going over, I had some people who had reached out about, like, my Amazon links, like, where they could find that page, which is on my website of russellbrands.com with a Z, and then the other thing is I had, several people who saw my part of my interview with Dave Mack, and I don't know if they didn't go back and see the whole thing, which is fine, um, but had asked why I had even started down this road. I had one fella who came after me because, I did keto for 28 years and he was like, well, there wasn't even keto 28 years ago or 1991, basically. And I was like, that is not true, sir. There was the ketogenic diet and they knew it in the medical field because in the 1930s, they utilized the ketogenic diet to treat and cure epileptic children in all of the large universities, the learning universities, no less. But you can't make money off of the ketogenic diet treating and curing diseases because they can't patent it. So that has been there, but unfortunately, like I said, if they can't make money off of it, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's a good interviewer. Um, I like him. I like watching his videos. I had watched several of his videos. So, really, what happened with me, I'll just kind of keep it short and sweet as possible, is at 19, I was 240 pounds. I went to see my family physician who was fairly new out of medical school. He was still about this big around and 6'5". And I'll bet he didn't weigh 150 pounds. I mean, he was just nothing, just a stick of a person. And of course, I was obese at 5'6" at that weight. Um, and he did actually go over nutrition with me, which is surprising, but it was not the right stuff. It was, chicken breast without the skin and no fat. It was egg beaters, which is just the egg whites in cartons. And it was country crock, which is a crock of shit. Anyway, I did those things for a year, came back, was 313 pounds, and my triglycerides were at least 1,000. That's as high as the meter went back then. They were not doing hemoglobin A1Cs at the time. At least he didn't. I don't know. I don't think they had that calculation yet. So that told me that I was going to be diabetic coming up, which he said, that is true. You're going to be doing shots, checking your blood sugars. And I'm a nurse now and I love to poke other people, but I am not a big fan of poking myself, even my own finger. When I use the Keto Mojo once in a blue moon, I get all sweaty. It takes me a couple minutes of talking myself into doing it because I'm a big baby. So the um, the other thing he did is he tried to give me, and he did. He gave me a prescription for Lipitor, which was fairly new. It had come out in '87, and not accidentally, that medication was released upon us in 1987. And just a few months later, our lovely Congress got rid of a law that actually used to protect consumers from commercials on medications. Those had been banned off of television, which now you see every commercial is a medication commercial. So that started in '87. So he, talked me into that. I did not fill that prescription. I went and read up on it, all the old medical journals I could find. And I just basically threw away everything white, all the packaged foods. I ate green beans and broccoli out of my own garden, both of those. And then lots of fat, lots of meat and lots of water. There was no alternatives back then, really, anyway. The salt wasn't the greatest back then. It was just the table salt. I did switch to Himalayan pink salt somewhere after maybe a couple years into doing it. I found that. And then as soon as I found Redmond's real salt and the Celtic and Baja Gold, I have integrated those. I actually bring those in and utilize them different times for different things that I do. So that is what I did. Eventually, after a year, it was 153 pounds lost. My triglycerides went down to 33. My LDL was high and my HDL was high, which freaked him out even more. And I was like, I just don't believe that me healing and feeling better and all of my other stuff looks so great that I need to be concerned about those numbers. And I said, can you tell me why I should be worried about those numbers? And of course, he said the old standard. It leads to higher risk of heart attacks and strokes. And I'm like, okay. And I said, well, I'm willing to take that chance. And so that's what I did. And I just continued that clean keto for 26 years. And then the last 2 years, of course, when they can make money off of you doing keto treats or any of those things, then, they start marketing that stuff to you. I did that for 2 years and trashed my health. I developed cystic acne again. My menopause symptoms were horrific, joint pain, depression, anxiety was off the chart, off the chart. I really didn't gain any weight back, but I did have bloating and I did have constipation. And now I know that a lot of those sugar free alternative sweeteners were ruining my gut biome. They're very powerful at killing your gut microbiome because that's bacteria, and bacteria will loves sugar. It's a fast sugar source, and it goes to, like, when you eat something that has these alternatives in it, the bacteria is like, yes, we're going to get some energy from this, but it's a sugar alcohol and they cannot get the energy from it, and then they die off because they've used all their energy to get to it, to get their more energy, and they can't get back to where they can be fed by the other items. So that is part of it. So I'm going to read some comments. So Kimberly Myers, love the tooth powder. Can't wait to get the spearmint one. Just waiting on restocks on other lemon products. Yep. I just put up the lemon tallow lotion that I made yesterday. I put up 20 of the 2 ounce and they smell delicious. They smell really good. I made one for myself the other day first, just to kind of make sure that it doesn't stay greasy on the skin, made sure I had the formula right. And then it does smell a little bit like cocoa butter, like all of them, because it has some. But when you put it on the skin and you smell your skin, it is very lemony and it's not strong, but it's good. I do love it. And I am waiting on the cinnamon oil. I will be making my own as well, but I have ordered extra. Good morning, Renee. Let's see. Drax of the North. I started Lion Diet 4 days ago, have been carnivore since January, but I'm eating too much. 3 pounds of sirloin steaks and hamburgers yesterday. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Um, and I don't know how tall you are and what your weight is. That does make a difference. I would absolutely add in more fat. If Because we can, if you're an overeater, which I was an overeater, I could eat the entire whatever it was. You need to be taking in more fat. And I would make some like crispy fat bites ahead of time. And I would actually eat some of that as you're cooking your meat, your whatever protein you're going to have. I would avoid drinking any water half an hour to an hour before, nothing with your meals, and nothing for at least an hour, hour and a half after that. That's what I would do. And I would definitely do more fat, because if you're not getting in enough fat, the protein, some people can break down and really go through the energy from that protein very quickly. But that's what I would do. And I eat about 2 pounds of meat and about half a pound of ribeye fat every single day. I do 1 meal a day again. I kind of had been doing 2 meals a day for a while just because I felt like I needed it. And there must have been some kind of healing that was going on. And then I'm back to just doing OMAD and occasional extended fasting, 2, 3 days that I'm throwing in there. I think that's another thing too. We do have a tendency of stretching our stomachs out. And so if you can fast a little and kind of let that muscle come back down more to its normal size, it really should be about the size of your fist, maybe just a touch bigger than what your fist is. Um, and yet I can put a 16-ounce steak in there. So of course I'm full for a whole day after I do that and the ribeye fat, but So let's see. Da, da, da. Maria, she has a question. Do you happen to know a way to detox too much vitamin A in the body? I do, actually, because I did that to myself because I was taking extra vitamin A. I was also eating liver I had taken, not liver plain because I can't do that, but I had mixed liver into my burger, some of my deer burger, some of our regular burger. And I was having a little bit of that every day. And I have a lot of hair, thank God, but I was losing clumps. I mean, clumps of hair. Um, it was nuts. And I was like, what is happening? And then I was starting to notice other things that I knew were vitamin A toxicity. And I was like, okay. So I cut that out. And, as you think about it, our ancestors, they did not eat liver every day. If they had a kill, of course, they ate the organ meat first most often, and then went to the muscle meats and things like that. But they didn't get a kill every single day. So we don't need that every single day. If I only knew how to spell, right? So, first things I would do is I would decrease for about a week. I would decrease if you take any supplements that have vitamin A in them. I would decrease my eggs for a week because the egg yolks are pretty high in that. Um, I'm trying to think what else. And then can you when you're asking me about the vitamin A, um, that you have too much, can you let me know what symptoms you actually had that lead you to believe that it is a vitamin A deficiency? Because some other things can mimic that, just so we can kind of be like, "Yeah, yep." The other thing I would recommend is I would, if you think you have vitamin A toxicity, is do maybe a couple 24-hour fasts. Just do water, the good salts, the mineralized salts, um, and do a couple of those for, during the week. Like maybe eat normally your whatever diet you're eating, carnivore, keto, ketovore. Do that for like 3 days and then do a 24 or 48-hour fast and then do that again. But I would lay off eggs, for sure. They do have a lot. So, yep. Lisa, I agree. If I overdo the protein, I do put weight back on. Just 1 or 2 pounds, but most of us don't want to do that. So, okay, Lisa says she's eating a bit of yogurt with the meal. Makes you feel more satisfied. Yep, good to the good bacteria. Yep, fighting off the bad. That is absolutely correct. And if you're able to do yogurt, I used to make my own. That is a wonderful thing to do. It's very good at feeding. It's like a pre and a probiotic. I cannot do that. I am very lactose intolerant, and I have tried it several times, and every time I do, I just fill up very sinusy, I get itchy, I get all the signs, so I just don't try it. So let's see, I'm carnivore day 69. This is Kimberly. The problem I'm having is head itching and ears itch on inside. Okay. So this could be a pH problem. It could be a bacterial overgrowth problem. And a lot of us have like a yeast or bacterial overgrowth. So, what I would recommend for this, and I don't know if you have any of my shampoo bars, but I send out a little thing with it as you're transitioning from regular shampoo to natural bar soap shampoo, that you need to do a wash after you've shampooed your hair, and you take like either white vinegar or apple cider vinegar and mix it like 50-50 with water, and I would spray that in at the roots of your hair and just rub that down through all of your hair. I'm not sure how long your hair is, but especially make sure you get that around the roots. I would also take 1 ounce, and if you can't do it straight down the hatch, do it in 4 ounces of water a day, just to try to get that in to help feed the good bacteria so that it can beat up the bad bacteria. So that's what I would be doing. All right. Nancy, I started a 72-hour fast once a month, but I have hypothyroidism and I'm afraid it may be too long of a fast. I think 48 is better. If you have hypothyroidism, um, or adrenal issues, I do think it can throw off and cause your cortisol to go high. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I really do think the 48-hour fast is better, for people that have that. And hopefully someday maybe you can reverse that condition. I don't know if you had anything removed. I don't know, but that would be great. And let's see. So Kimberly is asking, could Ambien caused this? I was off for 6 months but couldn't sleep, so I started back a month ago. I've not seen people taking Ambien, or Zolpidem is another name of that. It's a sleep medication, helps for insomnia. I haven't seen that, but if you're having trouble sleeping and you are carnivore, I recommend if you can get any of those ribeye fat or any kind of meat fat and cut it into little pieces and fry that up crispy and put some of the good salt on it. Just eat 3 or 4 pieces of that like an hour before you go to bed. And something with that fat really does kind of help with the sleep. I would try that anyway. All right. Let's see. Hair shedding, anxiety. Yep. I was eating. Yep. 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 So that makes sense. Okay. So she said she was shedding hair, kind of like I said I had done. Anxiety was going up. She was eating several egg yolks a day and supplements with vitamin A 3 times a week, a liver capsule. Yeah. So I would stop the liver capsule for now. And I would stop, like I said, the egg yolks, maybe do the lion diet for a little while, which is ruminant meats. So that is deer, beef, lamb, buffalo, bison, whatever. There's several of them, goats, anything with multi-chambered stomach. I would avoid chicken. I would avoid bacon, pork, and just go with the red meats for a couple weeks and salt and water. And if you drink a little bit of coffee or something, that's fine. But that's what I would do. And I would avoid the eggs for a while. And I would not be taking supplements with vitamin A, and I wouldn't be taking the liver. Um, if later on, after and it about 2, 3 weeks, you should really notice my hair stopped falling out within 2 weeks of me stopping doing all the extra stuff I was doing. I do an occasional couple egg yolks. I don't do any egg whites, but very rarely. I pretty much am lying. I do just the ruminant meats, but that's what I would try. And then if later on you feel like you want to add in some of the liver supplement, you could, or you can do like I do. I buy either my deer meat and I save the deer liver and kidneys and mix that in, or if you buy, calf liver, you can mix it in with ground beef and you don't even know it's there. You just want to be careful not having that every single day. So I kind of mix mine up. You're welcome, Kimberly. Mm. Oh, good. So Nancy says, nope, she still has her thyroid. She's just on the 30 of Armor, which is a better thyroid replacement for sure. Um, I noticed fatigue shortly after the fast. Yeah. Yeah. And so I would say that is just too much of a shock on the body. So I would do the 48-hour fasts. I think you'll find good benefits with that. You get into good autophagy, and really just doing 16/8, you actually have some autophagy anyway doing carnivore because you're not taking in the carbohydrates. So that's what I would say on that. Let's see. So back to what I was going over a little bit with the physician that I had had back in the day. I took care of him after his open heart bypass, and he had a 5-way bypass and was over 500 pounds. Now he's 6'5", but that's still way too much. And after I extubated him and pulled his pacemaker wires and all the stuff up there. I just asked him if he remembered me, and he was like, "No, I don't remember you." So I said, "Well, you tried to get me to take Lipitor in 1991, and then when I told you I hadn't used it and I had changed my diet and had, cured all my issues that I was having, you told me I was going to die a fat ass." And then he was like, "Yeah, I kind of remember that conversation." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wow, you've done really well. It's been a long time." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "As I told you, I was not doing it as a diet. I was doing it as a lifestyle change. And that is 100% what I meant." And I said, "I don't plan on ever going back and eating any of the other stuff that I'd eaten in my previous, way of eating." Um, and he was like, "Yeah." And of course, I'm looking at his medical records and I'm like, "You've been on a statin since 88. And I said, "And you eat country crock?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." "And the fake eggs?" "Oh, yeah." And I said, "How'd that work out? You just had a 5-way bypass." And then I said, "You do realize that the majority of what your blockage is calcium and all the other minerals, right?" there is very little cholesterol. Cholesterol goes to the area of injury and kind of goes down as a band-aid to allow the healing to start to usher in the immune response and start healing. But if you continue to keep damaging those vessels, then they become more like osteocytes, which are bone sites, which then attract calcium and attract all the other minerals because calcium is an attractant. It pulls things to it. So your magnesium, phosphorus, manganese, all of those things come in and attach to it. So that's why when we would do open heart, if a piece of that would come out when we would cut to put the vein or the other artery to bypass that area, you'd have a chunk come out and it'd look like a piece of broken off school board chalk. And it sounded like tink, tink, tink when it would hit the table. And you're just like, that's not cholesterol because you can put butter in this hand. I told him, I said, if I put butter in this hand at my body temp and I put your country crock in this hand, which one melts? And he says, well, the butter. And I said, so how does that turn into a rock and this one doesn't when it stays, exactly the way it came out of the package? And I said, I just don't buy it. And he goes, and that's your choice. And I said, and I'm on this side of the bed. But that was okay. So it took him a couple years. My mom's best friend is a doctor next door to his office. And he ran into her and yelled, down the hallway to her. And he was like, hey, can I have your daughter's phone number? And my mom knows me very well. And she was like, I'll give her your phone number and she can call you. And so she gave it to me the next day, actually. And I know this is a little passive aggressive, but I did make him wait a month before I called him. And I did that on purpose because the 6 times that I had seen him in office, not one of those times was he not at least an hour that I was sitting in the waiting room and in the room, where they come see you, the exam room. And he would always be like, well, I'm here now. And it's like, okay. So when I called him, he says, I thought you forgot me. And I said, oh, no, I'm here now, which I don't know if he got, but I felt better. And I know that's childish, but I did feel better. So it was interesting because he goes, well, you talked to me about that keto stuff. And he goes, I'm diabetic and I have kidney disease and all these things. And I'm like, and you know how the body functions. I just don't understand. And he goes, we're not taught that. And he said, and this, because I picked his brain on this, because I said, I don't understand how there's so little nutritional education in medical school when you guys are being trained to take care of people with diabetes and high blood pressure and kidney disease and all of these disorders that are metabolically driven. How are you trained to take care of those diseases if you don't know the foods that lead to those? And he says, we don't learn that because that's not what they wanted to gear it towards. We learn how to treat you once you're already sick. He goes, and I said, so it's sick care, not health care. And he said, well, kind of. And I said, well, I don't choose to be part of that matrix. I'm not going to be on that hamster wheel. And so we went over everything. I did email him a lot of the information on how I did keto. I had several hundreds of recipes for the keto stuff and sent that to him. And he did that. I'm not sure if he stayed with that. I know he's about 200 pounds now. So he looks better. He's healthier. I know he's no longer diabetic. I know his cholesterol is in range. I don't know if he stopped taking the medicine. That's his choice, whether he wants to continue to do that. So, hi, Crystal. Good morning. H. pylori. Yes. So, Drax is asking, is there a natural way to treat H. pylori? Carnivore on its own hasn't solved it so far. So I would recommend getting oregano oil, which is a natural antibiotic, and taking that. And yes, I do have it. You don't have to get it from me, but on my website, I do have that. That's a natural antibiotic. The other thing is you need to get the acid in the stomach correct. Most of the time, that H. pylori, I had that during nursing school, a lot of stress, of course, things like that, and was taking proton pump inhibitors, which are like your Protonics, your Zantac, your things like that. Omeprazole, pantoprazole, any of those zoles are shutting off your pumps. And it made the H. pylori, which we all have. It's a bacteria we have in the gut. It's supposed to be there, but that tells me you have an overgrowth. But anyway, I had the same thing. I had a ulcer that was massive. Um, and they wanted to put me on more of those proton pumps, and I did it for a short time. I did do antibiotics back then for that. I didn't have oregano oil or know much about that. Um, and it started to get better, but then my food would sit in my stomach for hours and hours, and you could tell it was just sitting there and putrefying. And so then it made actually my acid reflux worse. And I went back to a doctor. He came from Iowa City, a very large university, and was coming to our small town hospital. And I said, I'm not taking these every day. I said, you have to have acid to break down the food. You can't break down the food without the acids and the enzymes, working in the stomach. I said, this just doesn't make sense to me, and I'm not going to do this forever. And he said, you probably have absolutely almost no acid in your stomach. He goes, I would say if we did a upper GI and tested you, your stomach would be alkaline, which it cannot be. It should be almost as acidic as a hyena's stomach. And I was like, great. And I said, so what do I do there? And he was the one that actually recommended. Of course, he was trained in India. He was not trained in the United States. He's the one that told me about the apple cider vinegar with the mother. And he said, shake it up. And he says, you can put one little shot glass, 1 ounce of that. And he says, if you can drink it straight and try not to get it all over your teeth, or at least rinse your mouth right away, or you can put it in like 4 ounces of water with honey, lemon, whatever, if it makes it more tolerable, and do that. And I actually did that twice a day. And I noticed how much better I felt so quickly. It was amazing. The stomach just quit. That dull ache that you have at the top of the stomach was just annoying, but that did help get rid of that. So I would try to do that. I do have some Bragg's apple cider vinegar that is like 6 years old, but that's not the brand I would be buying right now, brand new off of the shelf, just because Bill Gates has a company called Appeal, which is APEEL, and that is being sprayed on apples and all kinds of fruits and organic vegetables that can be sprayed with everything now. So even Roundup can be sprayed on your organic items. That has been lifted. So organic really doesn't mean anything except you're spending more money. But anyway, the brand that probably is the safest that I have found is the White House. And so you want to make sure it's got the mother in it, which is that thick, floaty stuff in the bottom. And you just want to shake that up. And like I said, about 1 shot glass full a day. So that is what I would recommend. Let's see. I think that is it. And so I do appreciate you guys coming on here. Like I said, I just wanted to jump on really quickly to show you, my lemon tallow lotion. This is starting to clear up a little bit. I know it's hard to see in there. It looks really dark. This is just more of the lavender oil, which is really good if you have a bath or a sauna, hot tub, anything like that before bed. You can put some of that oil on. You can put it in the bath water. You can do a foot soak with it, like some Epsom salt and some of that lavender oil in there. Really good for sleep for people who have insomnia. So that is, I think, what I have. I think today's plans is I'm going to make more tooth powder, and the cinnamon is supposed to be in, um, I think it's supposed to be in Monday if it shows up. If it shows up on Monday, I will be making it Tuesday morning before work, and I will put it up on site if I have enough time that day. But I have some people who had already purchased it, and I don't know, my count got off somehow. I have no idea. I think I sent double to somebody a couple times, so they got some free product, which is fine. Um, but so I have to fill those orders first. And so I'm going to do those first. Then once I'm done, any new orders that come in, then I will be sending those off. So Maria says, thank you. Also, sun sensitivity, stop. Okay. Stop the egg yolk and liver. Yep, 4 days ago, and tallow too much. No, the amount of vitamin A, she's asking the amount of vitamin A that's in tallow and ghee, is that too much? That is going to be more closely something that we would have had as ancestors would have had, because they saved the fat. They did those processes with that. Um, and that was something that even like during the depression, people survived by eating this, by eating tallow or lard that they had canned. They had already rendered down and canned it, and they actually ate that to survive. So I don't think you're going to get too much of that. I would just cut back on the extra and the egg yolks for a while, and you may be able to go back to those egg yolks at some point, but you may never have to go back to adding in the supplements. So let's see. Yeah, Nancy, I have got most of my stuff up after the Dave Mack interview, which I had no intention of even mentioning my website. I just was on there, giving my spiel of my way I started Carnivore. And and then he kind of asked about that stuff at the end. And man, it went crazy. I mean, I literally had 1 2 ounce of one of the lotions and one shave cream left. That was it. And I had like 1,000 things in here. It was pretty nutty. So I'm slowly every day working, usually from 5 in the morning till 7:45, going to work, coming home at 5:30 and working till 9:30, trying to restock all of those things. So most everything's back up there. Um, yeah, so most everything's back up. So anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day. I think I'm giving the husband a haircut today. And no, I'm not a hairstylist. I'm a nurse. And I do tell him that, but he still trusts me to do it. So we'll see how that goes. Um, and then I think I'll be making more of the tooth powder. So the spearmint and the peppermint. And I'm going to make up the base for the others so that when I do get the cinnamon, all I need to do is add that in and just put that through the food processor. And then I will get that up online. So I appreciate all of you guys. I love your questions. I love questions. I love questions. I love to get to the bottom of stuff. And if there's anything that you want me to do a video on, if you have questions about something and you're like, I didn't see that you had any videos on that, I've done a lot of them on magnesium, vitamin K2D3, fasting, different things like that. But if you have specific idea that you want me to do a video on, or you have questions about, you can always put it in the comments, or my email is attached to my YouTube channel. Um, and you can always reach out to me privately as well. I have no problems with that. And I do answer every single message that I get. Maybe at 9 o'clock at night that you get the answer back, but I will absolutely get back to you guys. So I do appreciate all of you. And as I said earlier, too, if any of your products come to you and they, especially the lotions, if they have melted because of the hot weather, I have changed that formula a little bit. So hopefully it won't be quite so bad. Is just put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes, kind of shake it up pretty good, get you a good little arm workout, put it back in the fridge for another 15, 20, kind of do that a couple times, and it should reconstitute to where it was before. So hopefully that helps. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. And don't forget, Monday, come on here at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for Fierce Felines with all the gals. We have a good time. See you later.